Hey, soul survivors. So we are going live just because I had just finished doing probably like an hour and a half. So I'm about ready to go to bed, but I am doing a little technical test because unless it's uploading, it could be processing, but it seemed like I was having technical difficulty. So I'm here for you guys if you would like to chat. I see people joining now because usually I have somebody join in, at least one person. I did have a person join, but usually after an hour and a half, only seeing like one, maybe it was two people that joined. Thank you for that thumbs up. So you guys have my undivided attention right now. I was out in the rain, so I got some mermaid hair going on, but also wearing some sweatpants. When I go out in the rain, I get cold, and I get cold for a couple of hours. But we're going to talk about like the trauma bond, anything you guys want to talk about. It's good having you guys here. Feel free to say hello. That way I know that my chat box is working. I'll say hello to you guys. I don't have my glasses. Did I spell it right? Yeah, there we go. But it was a really exciting week. Feel free to let me know if you've already joined in because I'll repeat a couple of the things that I was saying. But after you get through that trauma bond, once you can break it, the thing with a narcissistic relationship is it does not get better. A lot of times it gets worse unless the person really wants to have that empathy. And I've been studying autism because there's a thing called cognitive empathy where people can kind of like say, I get it. But there was this one boy who it sounds like he's really trying. He is really trying. And he is trying to relate. Like there's a difference between sympathy and empathy. And he's trying to do that cognitive empathy. But like the narcissist usually has like ulterior motives. The autistic people I know really try. But the narcissist uses it for their own good. And that's where it gets tricky. It has like some malintent on it. But when you're trying to communicate with someone without that empathy, it becomes self-serving or it becomes hurtful because there are times that a narcissist does try, they go through cycles. That's why, so many of us can share our stories where they were really nice and then they were terrible and all these things. Like, where did that come from? Like the Jekyll and Hyde type thing. But the trauma bond happens because of that Jekyll Hyde thing. And, usually with autistic people, you can kind of tell how they're going to react. They're pretty consistent on their personalities, but the narcissist flip-flops or changes on a dime. And, the trauma bond is from the up and down. So, if somebody's distant from you, they're distant. They're not one of your people. You can say hello to them. You're not trauma bonded to them. You don't expect certain things from them. But when you're in, parent-child relationship, or if you are in a romantic relationship, there are certain expectations. And, how they say to become one. That's where the codependency kind of starts. And if we could go into this perfect picture where two become one and they go through life together, not a problem. But when one's breaking off, there's times you feel like you're losing yourself. And that's why it can be so traumatic because you're fully vested and we start losing ourselves, whether it's the breakup or investing too much. And it's almost enabling the person where they're not growing. And, in life, we're not necessarily stagnant creatures that, like with Jojo Siwa, she's trying to find her way right now, trying to reinvent herself. And it's interesting how, being the good girl isn't always accepted. That, what's the opposite or what's different, that people don't feel that they're standing out by being the good person. And that's why a lot of times you see people going to the opposite extreme. Also, you have, how they talk about like the Catholic schoolgirl, how she was like the preacher's daughter, how sometimes they want to break free from a certain mold. And, the narcissist is in that stage where they're trying to break free. where they're caught in this continuum of a juvenile mentality, and our brains aren't fully functioned until they're fully formed until they're 26. But because of the brain damage that they went through, whether it was through the coddling, becoming entitled, or through traumatic experiences, through their own survival mode. And I know a lot of us are like, am I the narcissist? When you're with a narcissist, you start going into survival mode. That sometimes, I see some of these people, where it is the reactive abuse, but they're coming from a state of need. They're coming from a state of want. And the longer you stay in those relationships, the further down that rabbit hole you get, the further your outside relationships will also fall apart. And that intermittent reinforcement causes an addiction type thing. And they talk about the withdrawal from that person is like a cocaine withdrawal, or stronger. What is it? I don't want to say, somebody said 10 times worse than heroin. But it's at least, on par, that, it's physically painful. And that's why a lot of people just want to get back to the person so they don't have to go through the pain. But the pain is part of you growing. I've been in so many different injuries or accidents. I've had so many torn muscles, broken bones, all these kind of things. And they talk about like a torn muscle, how it has to fall apart before it starts to heal, how it gets worse and then like rejuvenates and recreates and reconnects to heal. And sometimes, we have to go through that little period of time where, we're resting a little bit more, or, maybe you go through a stage where you're like, oops, I had too much ice cream tonight, that we got to rebalance. But I'm hoping that as you're going through the healing process, that you don't go too far down the cycle before you rejuvenate. And I know there's so much advice that I should have taken. And if I can help you guys see that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, or it is worth, accepting things that we can't change, or sometimes just letting go. Maybe it's not the right time. If the person is truly a narcissist, it's not going to work. They're not going to do the inner work. If it's somebody who is still maturing, that, now's not a good time for the relationship because it's too toxic. That when we enable them, they're going to continue that way. But if we can break free, there are times that you can grow together if both people can utilize empathy. Without that empathy, sometimes, you try to have that sympathy, but you also are coming from a state of need. It's crazy how destructive the relationships can get. And I see a lot of these YouTubers are talking about how to get revenge against the narcissist. And I know a lot of you have been angry to where, you think about those things, and, that's kind of like the evil at work. It's easier to do those things, to let anger get the best of you. But, they say the best revenge is the glow up, the just getting on with your life. And, some of us have been waiting around for our person to acknowledge us and to love us. But it's interesting on how it can be turned into a blessing in disguise, to where you can truly connect with yourself and truly grow. And, the negative people, you're going to start to see those red flags. And my hope for this channel is where we can help each other grow. We can share our stories, help validate each other. I know a lot of us feel so alone. Part of that's that isolation that we've gotten from the narcissist. or we're too afraid of telling people. Sometimes we feel like we are the crazy one. Like, how are we going to tell people? Or people shut us down, like telling us, like, why don't you just leave? It's not that easy, because it does become an addiction. We are physically dependent on that person. I'm not talking about carrying us around or cooking for us, but our brain is like swollen and damaged, and I don't know about you guys, but you can like feel it in your head. You can feel it. And I know some people dissociate, and all these things start happening. It starts affecting your weight. It starts affecting your sleep. And once you start going down that, you're going to start having health issues. And, some of us walk on those eggshells. We're biting our tongue. We don't know exactly what to say. We don't want to upset the person. And we start internalizing things. And, our body is pretty cool on how, when we yawn so we get like an increase. Once our body tightens during that yawn and releases, it kind of holds back that blood and releases it, so you get like a rush, and that rush of oxygen kind of helps wake you up. Same with our body going into that survival mode, that it takes away from, the sleep that we need, and the constant worry, that it's inhibiting us from healing, that, it can cause cancers, diabetes, and heart issues, and on and on and on, that the longer we're in this, the more physical ailments that we'll have. I know I got wrinkles, like worry lines, like my forehead is, a lot of it is just the worry and the sad creases from frowning, that, it's visible on our faces sometimes. If you guys can share, if you have had this once you've broken up with your narcissist, a lot of people are like, wow, you look really good compared to when you were with your person. You look more alive, and you're smiling more, you're laughing more. It's good to see you happy. That there's going to be this cusp in your life where it's kind of like fake it till you make it. That it's a mind shift where we get out of that victim mentality, whether we were a victim or not. Just like if you were in a car accident, technically you're a victim. But you can stay there and you can remain disabled, or you can fight against it and strengthen your muscles and get back on the healing track. If you had any broken bones, it takes a little bit of time to have that heal so you can get stronger, work on the muscles. It sometimes takes steps, and emotionally it takes steps too. So don't give up on yourself, but breaking that trauma bond can be extremely difficult, because the narcissist will try to hoover us back in, or we can reverse hoover, where we're just missing our person so much that we just don't want to feel the pain. But I see that you guys are here, so thank you for joining. But I just wanted to kind of touch base with you guys. I appreciate those likes. I did want to see how my internet is working. Well, in the middle of nowhere, and my internet is literally right above my head, and I don't think I have very good reception. So comment below, let me know. Like I said, I did that live stream, hour and a half of it, and I don't know if it's just updating, or I hope it's just updating, because I'd like you guys to have good quality videos with me. So thanks for joining. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you soon. Did it go through all right? I don't know. Still learning this house. All right. Have a good night.